process just really couldn't have been smoother. And we got the final product, and it was awesome. It was just worked really, really well. So how did I get started in bariatric surgery? It really started during my general surgery residency. I was in Dallas at Parkland Hospital, UT Southwestern, and laparoscopic surgery, or the surgery through the tiny little incisions, was becoming very popular, just really booming, starting to boom. After getting there, it's when I realized how much of a difference this surgery makes in people's lives. When they lose 150, 200 pounds, their diabetes goes away, their high blood pressure goes away. You no longer need a walker, their backs don't hurt, and they're going home the next day. And I thought, this is incredible. Patients are happy. When they're happy, I'm happy. I had planned the whole time to go back to Tulsa and start the bariatric program there. I felt like we needed a backup option just in case. And we had planned to go to Tulsa for 5 years. Told Kristen, my wife, I said, let's just have a backup option just in case. And the hospital, Northwest Medical Center, called. And I remember getting on Google Maps and figuring out where Springdale was. I was like, that's right by, that's not that far. So, and I had a lot of friends come to the University of Arkansas for school. So we came and took a look and basically changed 5 years of planning in 24 hours. The place just felt right. It was a beautiful place. The hospital was on board with what I do, and I was going to have the opportunity to start and create the program I wanted to do. And we've grown our practice from, it was Kristen and I and 3 employees in 2007 to I think we have over 80 employees now. We've got offices in Fayetteville, Fort Smith, and Tulsa. We are definitely one of the busiest bariatric surgery programs in the country at this point. I've operated on people from 47 of the 50 states. So the real challenge with this project was figuring out how to automate the patient onboarding process, help them select which surgery is going to be the right surgery for them, and then get them to our website to get more information and then get into the program and get started.
So ultimately, the solution that we landed on was a mobile app that allows users to go through a series of dynamic, recursive questions, and those questions, after they answer them, are going to give them a suggested surgery, and then even after that suggested surgery, we give them a way to take that next step in their weight loss journey.
The problem is there's just a lot of people out there. This is the 3rd heaviest state in the country. We kind of go back and forth between 3 and 5. Less than 1% of patients are currently getting the help they need. How do we get the word out there? And one of my ideas from early on was developing an app. I wanted to develop something that a patient could use to get the information they need to help them make an informed decision of, should I proceed with this or not? I first researched how to do it myself. That was a non-starter. That was way too much. So I started Googling who could do that. I wanted to use somebody local. I really don't feel like using people out of New York or California. They just don't know the local environment. They don't know us. They don't know our patients. And so I Googled app developers in Northwest Arkansas and made a few phone calls, hit some contact us forums, and I did it on Square 6. And pretty quickly got a call from one of the owners, and I described to him the app that I wanted to do and how I wanted to look and what it was for. It was very positive feedback. Yeah, I think we can do that. That's a good idea. Our team can help. And that was, from that point on, that's where we basically hit the ground running. And the process was extremely easy. It was made to where I could understand what we're doing. I could give feedback, and it was implemented pretty quickly. So very easy process. We had multiple meetings, and the first one I think lasted about an hour of what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it, what we wanted to look like, our target audience, how we were going to get there. And then I think the next meeting we reviewed, you guys put some stuff together, some key concepts and what we're trying to do. I had to, get my information to y'all. One of the biggest things of medical apps is trying to translate medicine to non-medical people. We're used to doing that with patients all the time, and you guys really paid attention to that and the different nuances between the surgeries and how we wanted to frame the questions. Then we got the first iteration, and we did the app ourselves. Needed to make a few changes here or there, but in general it was pretty spot on from the beginning. Changed the look a little bit here or there. I think anytime I gave feedback, nobody took it personally or got insulted by, oh my gosh, you didn't know. It was we want to make this the best possible thing. And I think everybody was just very open to the process. They made it easy. And by the same token, where I tried to talk to non-medical people, you guys had to talk to me as a non-app developer so Madison and I could understand it. And the process just really couldn't have been smoother. And we got the final product, and it was awesome. It was just worked really, really well.
So the first time we met with Dr. Roller, he was telling us about how like the average patient will research stuff for like 3 years before they actually make a decision. And so a lot of that research happens online. And so what happens is they'll get a lot of misinformation. They'll be convinced that they need a surgery that they don't actually need. So that can lead to trust issues, like trusting the information that they get. And so his solution was to create a tool for them to help in that surgery selection process. So Dr. Roller actually has a webinar that he has on his website that he uses for education so that he can educate people whenever they're trying to decide what surgery that they want. But he felt like there was even an even earlier touch point that he could reach out to his patients and try to help them kind of on that weight loss journey. And so that's where we really decided to go with a mobile app. Just some of the basic facts, like 70% of digital media is consumed in the US is on mobile. And so that's why we kind of decided for that platform. So another problem that he had was automating his onboarding. So whenever patients come in, he has to go through all these questions to try to figure out like the basic medical information and then whatever conditions they have to see which one would be best suited for him. So this tool actually automates that process, so he doesn't have to have that long conversation with the patient. And then at the end of the whole flow, he actually has a funnel that goes to his website. So in this platform, they're going to have a Learn More button at the end, and that's going to take them over to his website, and that's going to be where they can start to see the webinar and learn more about the suggested surgery that we gave them.
So the technical challenge is that we had to come up with a recursive way to ask and answer questions. So we had questions that we would ask that may be dependent on the previous questions. So that decision tree allowed us to come up with a total score at the end that would account for which surgery we would suggest to the user.
So we started this project like we do with every other project, and we start with discovery. So what that allows us to do is just give us a phase where we can talk to like stakeholders for the business. We can figure out what the business needs are and what they want to accomplish. And then the other main part is really tapping in with the users. So that's how we're going to be successful in the app. So after talking to the Roller team and being able to kind of do user research through some of the subject matter experts there, what we found out was 3 big things. People are really busy, and then weight loss surgery selection can be kind of like overwhelming and confusing, especially whenever you get on the internet looking up different facts and things like that. And then the last thing is that the actual surgery selection is just one step in a really long user journey that they go through.
So the next part of our process is the define phase. So we took what we learned in discovery, we created a roadmap, and then we detailed out exactly what we were going to work on. Based on the designs, we knew that Xamarin was a solid choice for cross-platform development. It allowed us to quickly and iterate over different design phases and come up with a solution that was cross-platform and easily deployed.
So after the user fills out their basic medical info, the next step is the questions. And so this is the bulk of the app and where the user spends the most time. So we wanted to make sure that we get it right. Part of getting it right is usability and accessibility. So people with visually impaired, that have problems cognitively, any of those things play into how we answer these questions, how we set these questions up. So what we did was make sure the fonts are really big, the buttons are really big, touch targets are big, and then one of the usability heuristics is feedback. So whenever a user taps on a button, it fills in and moves on to the next one. Another one's flexibility, so we made sure to include a back button so they can go back and change the answers to any questions from the previous. So another part that we wanted to make sure we had in this workflow is a progress bar. So users typically start to bail out on surveys and questions if they don't know how much they finished. In this recursive kind of model that Blake talked about, we didn't know exactly how many steps it would be, so we just did a general progress bar to let them know they're generally this far done, and that seemed to help with keeping people engaged and answering the questions. So the final step in this process is the results page. And so we really wanted to reward the user for all the questions they had asked, all the information they put in, and we wanted to bring delight. That's kind of what we call it in the UX, is like we want to make them feel good. So we used big fonts, exciting language, like you did it, good job. And we actually show an illustration of what the suggested surgery would be, a couple paragraphs about explaining that surgery, and then we let them know that we also sent them an email. So we knew that this was only one step in their process, but if we sent them an email, they would always have that even if they didn't use the app again. And then we have a primary floating button at the bottom that's always visible so people don't lose it. And what that button was learn more. And so what that does is takes the person to Dr. Roller's weight loss seminars, and they can learn more about whatever surgery we selected for them.
At Square 6, we want to measure success, and we do that through analytics. We analyzed and tracked screen views, and we also tracked the results of the questions, and then the NPS scores at the end. So we can take those analytics, and Dr. Roller can review them, and then we can iterate on future versions using that data.
So the last part of any good experience is the feedback loop. And so at Square 6, we're really keen on letting our customers know that if you don't know what your users are experiencing or giving them a voice, you really don't know what to do next or what problems you have or even what opportunities you have. So the way we solved that was an NPS modal, so a Net Promoter Score. It's a pretty standard test that we have in technology or in lots of different places that let you know how well you're doing and how people are receiving your platform. So we made a modal for that and let people answer those questions once they get on the result page. The other part is we always have a help button in the top right-hand corner on every screen. So if the user gets into trouble, they can just send an email, and that way Dr. Roller can get feedback that way. They can give new feature ideas, anything that may be helpful in next iterations of the platform.
So the next steps in my mind for the app are, well, number one, the patients are loving it. They come in and they're asking really good questions now of our providers about the surgery that the app selected for them, or maybe a couple of surgeries. So that's made our jobs easier as providers, and I think it gives patients a lot more calm and reassurance about, okay, we're on the same page and going in the same direction. But the idea now is to get this app to everybody in the country.
Technology can be very confusing, and that's why we insist on utilizing UX. UX will solve many downstream problems and save a lot of cost on projects. In fact, studies have proven that for every dollar that you spend in design and UX will save you $10 in development. If you have a complex problem that you think that we'd be a good fit for, please reach out and we'd love to talk through your project.
At the end of the day, the numbers are the only thing that matters. And for this project, we have the app in 4 different countries with 30,000 impressions at 100% conversion rate, and we're closing in on 2,000 downloads. All that has led to a 28% increase in Dr. Roller's web traffic.